In my long absence, I've been doing forbidden research. I've been trying to figure out what makes AAA games so successful while we are left to suffer. I infiltrated their headquarters and I figured out what they're kept hiding from us. And here is that secret. Hi. My name is April, for those of you who are new here. I am the creator of Autism Creature Simulator. Some of you might look at that name and be concerned. I'm here to just give you a brief explanation of that, as well as tell you the creation of the game, but we'll get to that. The doodle, or like the actual character of the Autism Creature, was originally created by Twitter user at Akamiku? At Akamiku? The creature's flat affect and other traits of it ended up being relatable to a lot of those in the autistic community, hence it earning the name Autism Creature, being dubbed by autistic people themselves. The one key piece of context is that I am autistic myself. I have a lot of autistic friends, and I consulted some of them whilst developing this game. And while I don't expect everyone to relate to the Autism Creature, I do think it's important that we let those who do that. I think it's important for each autistic person to choose that for themselves. But with that out of the way, I want to tell you about the creation of Autism Creature Simulator. First, it all started when I asked myself one day, what if I made a game about the autism creature? Oh hey, it's raining, cool. And thus, I made a game about the autism creature. I doodled and sketched ideas, and I worked on the concept in around late April or May until I started working on it in June. I had to deal with some state exams, so I had to be focused on studying for that before I could begin work on the game. But after I finished like more than half of them, I decided to reward myself by finally being able to do game development again. Yeah. Originally, the game was going to look like a Game Maker Toolkit Game Jam game. Try saying that 10 times. Done in 2020 by the name of Puffballs. It was a kind of chaos management game where you have to manage the amount of creatures there are. But I then decided I wanted the player to have a more like one-on-one connection with their own autism creature. So I changed the design goals of the game before going into development. I wrote them all down in like this little Minnie Mouse book here, and so I wanted the game to be cozy. I wanted it to be relaxing. I wanted like for you to just be able to play it after a long, tiring day at school, work, or even just interacting with people. Yeah. So with those goals defined and some ideas in mind, I got to work developing the game in Game Maker. With development starting, I gave myself the goal until the end of June to complete the game. So on the very first day of development, it was mostly spent just programming the creature creation menu. I programmed the feature where you had to type the name of your creature, designate pronouns. There wasn't even like a game to play on the first day, it was just the menu I worked on. But it was important to set those foundations. I decided for this game I wanted to use Juju Adams' Scribble code library, where it does fun text effects and like has loads of features related to text. I decided to use it because I really liked his input code library, in which it's kind of used in Edwin and George, but there's also like some hobby projects I have where I use the code library. It is a dream, so I used it here, and after using it for a while, I was kind of kicking myself for not using an Edwin and George because Scribble is really good. Yeah, it done a lot of the fun text effects. Funnily enough, the feature to assign your creature its own pronouns was like one of the first things added to the game in the code, but there was no other part of the game that referenced it until the very end when I actually programmed the tutorial. Kind of irresponsible to do the tutorial last. Don't do the tutorial last if you're making a game. But worked out in the end. With the creation menu out of the way and the foundation it laid, I decided to do the art for the 6 crucial game objects that will represent the creature's different interests: a canvas for art, a chalkboard for math, a speaker for music, a game console for gaming, TV for shows, that stuff, and a bookshelf for reading. Yes, that one. And then after 2 days of programming and that stuff, finally you could boot up the game and see the autism creature do stuff. And finally there was some gameplay.
Oh, I know why. It's because I don't have this. There we go. Let the creature choose. This is brilliant.
Riveting. But herein lied the first major problem of the game. The game sucked. So I decided to introduce a gameplay loop about managing the creature's mood and stimulation. So when the creature had a mood meter, and when it was fully filled, you level up the companion between the bond between you and the creature, and you unlock a funny hat for the creature to wear. The creature had 6 different moods: neutral, happy, bored, angry, and sad. And one of the first ways you can interact with the creature was by petting it. If you pet it, it would increase the mood points and make it happy, but if you did that within too short of a span of time, it would start to lose mood points and get angry at you. So with this gameplay loop in the game, I decided to create a build and then export it and then send it to friends. And I sat back and then...
When he gets angry from pets, he stays that way forever.
So how do I not get her to hate me?
Why does he hate me?
Yes. So this scenario reminded me of a lesson I learned from Game Developers Conference, Mark Rosewater's 20 Years, 20 Lessons, where he talked about the lesson, fighting against human nature is a losing battle. He said, don't change your players to match your game, change your game to match your players. Basically, the players wanted to pet the creature, and I had to make a choice whether, because I wanted to keep the simulation mechanic in, but the thing is that it's too, originally as it was too, vague in what it did, how it increased, how it decreased, and what it affected. So I decided to scrap the mechanic to better the game, because I think, it would have been too difficult to, implement it in a way that I'm happy with, whilst also maintaining the same quality that the rest of the game had. So I changed angle a bit and decided to hone in on elements that autistic players would particularly love. I wanted to implement, like, for example, different decorations or backgrounds or just features of the game that they would absolutely love. One of the things behind that was the 4 elemental plushies, where each of them were based off the 4 elements. Because the elemental motif was something that I actually see a lot of autistic people like, including myself. So after like 3 hours of game development, I finally got the title screen working. Yippee! Easily the part of the game I'm most proud of. It took a while to get everything exactly right, but I think the title screen is one of the most endearing elements of the entire game, to be honest. I'm so proud of it. It really shows you the appeal of the game before you've even played it. From then on, it was all fun and dandy. I added feature after feature after feature. I added food, creature behaviors, a shop, backgrounds, so many other things, mini games. But the reality of game development quickly set in. Did you know a web browser version was supposed to release on the same day as the desktop version? But if you go to the itch.io page right now, you'll see there's a mysterious lack of web browser page. That's due to the fact that web development is absolutely insufferable. Yeah, the web browser version has some glitches that just don't exist on the desktop version because it works completely differently in some regards. There's like the little bouncy ball toy that the creature chases, and that results in a crash in the web browser version, which I have no idea why that happens. So, eventually I'll probably get a browser version working, but I'll talk about more of that in the end. For now, here is some other challenges that I was faced during the development of this game. Suddenly, Scribble stopped working. It was confusing the hell out of me, and it was so sudden. I couldn't even boot up the game. It was a compile error. How did this happen? Well, I finally realized the answer to that in 6 in the morning one time after I barely got sleep that night. Basically, the minigame Shane Likes to Shoot Paint was done in a separate GameMaker project because it was based off an open source art program made in GameMaker language done by, I'll show his name on screen. The object that ran everything was simply called draw. And then I looked at the lines of code that the compile error was referring to, and it was referring to functions in Scribble called draw for like texts. And at the time I didn't understand it, but that morning, in that moment of clarity, I realized the answer. I changed the name of draw to OBJ draw, clicked play game. Yippee! That was a very hollow victory. To sum it up, if you use a GameMaker and you get this kind of error, it's probably because you have an object or asset with the same name as a function you have, or a static function. So, if like you're using Scribble or you have a bunch of like scripts you've written, please name your assets something different to them. Yeah, that's what happened to me. But after dealing with the compile errors and various crashes that the game had, it finally released a week past schedule, but I was still happy with that result. And I think the game did well. Yeah, I think it did pretty well. I think it did, yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm speechless at this. Like, to anyone who's downloaded the game, shared the trailer, or just said something, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. I did not expect this to happen. I did not expect it to happen anytime soon, to reach 100 subs, but yeah. But let's wrap things up. So, Jesus, you can see my script. what have I done differently if I were to start the game again? I think one thing I would have done is I would have, like, shockingly enough, planned more. There are a couple days where I was just trying to think of what to do. That did lead to some, like, ingenuity on the spot. Things that I wouldn't have thought of for a while. For example, the typing minigame, for the book was based off a prototype I had lying around for, like, 3 years. So I'm happy that that got used, but, yeah. Another thing I would do is I would have, like, I wish I could have added more autistic behaviors and that stuff, whether it be like stimming or emphasize the special interest objects more, but that is always something I could do in a future update. Speaking of, okay, the future of this game. For those of you who are new here, I happen to have an embarrassing history of saying things and then completely not following up with them because I'm a little moron.
The projected release date of Project Leslie Saw is roughly around the end of the month. Series that I'm going to call Mr. Ronan's School of Game Design. So look forward to that whenever we start filming it.
Yeah, but, so, this time around I'm going to be more careful with how I phrase things. As the creator of this, I absolutely love what I've made, and it is special to me. So I definitely do want to work on this more. Like I'll probably do like a bug fix update and like a content update for this game. Don't expect those anytime soon because I'm working on other projects, stuff, living life. I will keep you in the loop if I start development of that, but basically the status of it is that it is going to get something. I'm just not anytime immediately. Yeah. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I hate saying the usual please like and subscribe YouTube algorithm stuff. So instead I brought you a graph. You see this bottom number here, I want that to increase and this top number to decrease. Do I? Yeah, I do. I want this top number to go down and this bottom number to go up. Cool? Thanks. Um, yeah, if you stuck it to the very end, thank you very much. Hope you have a nice day. If you haven't downloaded the Autism Creature Simulator yet, I recommend it. It's fun. Yeah. See ya.